Hi, my name is Alice Ma. I'm the dietitian with Dining Services, and we are here in my home today, and I'm going to share with you how I make two of my favorite healthy sweet treats. These are also very easy, quick recipes that can be altered to fit any dietary needs. So a lot of my work is working with students who have special dietary needs, like vegans, vegetarians, people who can't consume gluten, people who can't consume nuts, have allergies of all kinds. So we're going to start off with the first recipe, which is a cookie dough, and it's made with chickpeas. And the great thing about this recipe is that because it's a cookie dough that's raw, so this recipe uses no egg, so it's still like cookie dough. It tastes a lot like cookie dough because the same texture as cookie dough, but contains no raw eggs in it. So we're going to start off, like I mentioned, with chickpeas, which are very commonly used in hummus. And with chickpeas, it's about 1.5 cups of chickpeas. You can cook them from dry if you are familiar with how to do that. We've just taken that, we've mashed it. You can use a fork, or I have a potato masher here, just to mash it like this. And you do really want it pretty well mashed. You don't want a whole lot of huge chunks there. So we have our chickpeas, and then next we're going to add some peanut butter. So we're going to add about 3/4 cup of peanut butter. If you have time or a little bit of extra time, you can melt it to make it easier. And the peanut butter, in addition to the chickpeas, which are already pretty high in protein and fiber, is going to add some additional fiber to our cookie dough. It's also going to add a lot of healthy fat. So the fat in peanut butter is mostly unsaturated fat, which is very good for heart health. It also adds a nice, smooth, creamy texture to our cookie dough. So we're just going to mash this up pretty well until it's pretty well blended. It will take a little bit of time if you're doing this by hand. And then next we're going to add some sweetener. So this is another opportunity to swap out ingredients if you don't have a certain ingredient or you want to change it up a little bit. And we're only using about 3 tablespoons of sweetener, and it can be any sort of liquid type sweetener. So I chose today to use mashed banana. And this way we can add some fiber to the cookie dough, some nutrients like potassium, which is good for blood health, and some B vitamins as well, without adding lots of added sugar. So this is just a banana, about 1/4, maybe 1/3 of one that I'm going to mash and throw in there. So this is almost ready. We're just going to smash the chickpeas a little bit so you don't see any gritty texture there. A fork works fine for this as well. I'm just using the back of the spoon. And you can see this, it's mostly smooth now, like this. And then after that, this is kind of up to you, which is kind of fun. Any sort of flavoring or spice you want to add, it's basically up to you at this point. So we are going to add first a pinch of salt. This salt really helps bring out the flavor in anything, whether it's sweet or savory. So just a pinch. I normally don't measure salt, just do a little dash. And then any sort of sweet spice you have on hand. Lots of people have cinnamon on hand, so we're going to add a little bit of that. And again, I don't usually measure spices, I just kind of toss a little bit in. You can also use nutmeg, and do a little bit of that. Got some allspice. And then extracts also help. I'm just going with some basic vanilla. You could also use almond extract, lemon extract. There's all kinds of extracts out on the market. And then we're going to mix that a little bit more. We're keeping it pretty simple today, adding chocolate chips. This is about 1/3 cup. With chocolate chips, I don't normally measure. I just kind of throw it in there until it looks about right. And this is also another point to add other things, like cocoa powder. You could add dried fruits, nuts. The chopped nuts would be fun. Coconut's also fun. And then after that, it's pretty much done. Sometimes I do like to refrigerate it to make it a little bit more firm. But you can eat this just as is. It looks basically like cookie dough. Or the other thing I like to do is sometimes I will add rolled oats to this and make it a little bit more dry. They're pretty easy to pack in little baggies. And these will keep in the fridge for probably about 5 days or so. And that is the chickpea cookie dough. The next recipe we're going to do is a no-bake freezer fudge. The secret ingredient in this one is avocado. And this is a great recipe because avocados are really healthy. They're full of healthy, unsaturated fats, some fiber in there, potassium to lower blood pressure, vitamin C is great for immunity, vitamin K for helping your blood clot. And avocados are excellent in this recipe because they're going to act as kind of the butter in this recipe. So it adds this kind of creaminess and richness to the fudge. You can use a fork or a potato masher or the back of a spatula. You can use a food processor for this recipe as well. So we've just got that mashed, didn't take too long. And then the next ingredient we're going to use is more peanut butter. Again, to add some protein, but also, again, the peanut butter does add some richness because it is made of heart-healthy fats. It does add that kind of thick, fudgy taste without, without being the same as butter, with that's pretty high saturated fat. We're going to add about a cup, and I've already pre-measured this. We're just going to mix that up. Our next ingredient is going to be some sort of liquid sweetener. And in this case, you want something that's sticky. Because this is a no-bake fudge, the sticky sweetener is really going to help hold things together. We're going to use about a half cup of that, which I've pre-measured it. This is roughly about half cup that I have left in here. So we're just going to dump that in here. You can see here the avocado is just little flecks in there. It's mostly smooth with peanut butter and the brown rice syrup. Then next we have cocoa powder, which most fudge is going to be chocolate based. So cocoa powder is a pretty important ingredient. If you're using a food processor, you don't have to sift it. If you are doing this by hand, if you have some sort of sifter or a sieve, it does help in the mixing to sift it into the mixture. That's the majority of your ingredients for this recipe is cocoa powder and sweetener, peanut butter, and avocado. And really at this point, you're mixing it up until it's mostly smooth, almost like a cookie dough texture. Then next up, again, this part is kind of up to you. You do again want to add a little bit of salt to bring out the sweet flavor. And then this part, you could add, I oftentimes will add peppermint extract because it adds a little minty flavor, and mint and chocolate go very well together. You could add almond extract, again, vanilla extract. I think today, I'm just gonna add a little peppermint. You just need probably about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons if you want. And then at this point, you're pretty much done. And then put it in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes works fine. Probably an hour is best if you have time. And normally we'll just take a knife and then run under hot water because the fudge is frozen, and then slice the fudge. Probably best in the freezer because it will get pretty soft otherwise. In the freezer for about 2 to 3 months. And that is another healthy snack you can keep on hand. I'm always available via email. We can set up a meeting over Zoom. Just talk about whatever it is you would like to talk about, whether that be how to accommodate your allergies or eating healthy in general. I'm always available to consult with students.